All right, grade eights. Something a little different. Don't record any notes yet. Sit back and listen, and then I'll tell you when to record notes as we build a histogram together. I'm going to walk you through what a histogram is. That's our graphing lesson for today. I'm using some of the Jump book tools to help me out with this. So this is stuff prepared by Jump and shouldn't be used with any other math except for Jump and should only be used by Mr. Watson's class. I'm just saying that to avoid any copyright issues, hopefully. Okay, so essentially what happens, we use histograms when we have data that's continuous grade 8s. And I mean the fact that if you take a look at this chart here, it should technically be 0 to 4,999. This here is a chart for income of Canadians in 2008. Under 5,000 were 2 million and change, making 5,000 to just slightly under 10,000, 2 million and change, 10,000 to 1499, 2 million and change, 15,000 to 199, 2 million and change, and then it keeps going up. When we use histograms, our intervals going from category to category have to be identical. In this case, 0 to 4,999 would be 5,000. 5,000 to 999 is 5,000. 10,000 to 14,999 is 5,000. You got to remember this one counts as well. All right, and so on and so on and so on. And you can take this and then you can generate a graph out of it. We used histograms to show ranges. So you'll notice that there's not just one solid number down here like we're used to with bar graphs. So even though it shares some similarities to bar graphs, they represent different things. Now in this case, this bar graph here was generated by summing all of this category, this one, this one, this one, and this one together. All the categories from 0 to 24,999. On a histogram, the 0 is included in this column. The 25,000 is not. It's included in the next column. So this column represents 25,000, people making 25,000, all the way up to people making 49,999. This column here represents 50,000 all the way up to people making 74,999 and so on and so on. So the start is included in the category just to the right, not the one to the left. So it's not used twice. This last category represents people making 100,000 or over. So essentially, we could have generated a histogram with many little bars using these exact categories. But the individual who made this histogram chose to make it so that it represented 5 of these categories at a time. All right, so the first category represents all the way up to here. The second one represents all the way up to here. The third one, these 3 added together, and the fourth one all the way up. On a histogram, the intervals are all the same, with the only possible exception of the last one. All right, so in this case, it goes up 2,400 and 24,999. This one also goes up 24,999, 24,999, and so on and so on, except for this last one. This last one encompasses all the leftover categories, okay? I don't like histograms that do this, but it is okay to do it, all right? So we're going to go through and we're just going to write out some of the characteristics of a histogram together. What good has histograms have? All right, so I'm going to move this down. Very similar to bar charts, then we'll go through and we'll build one, okay, and I'll type this out. So characteristics of good histograms. And if I could do this, I'd like to do it there. Thanks. Histogram characteristics. All right, so they have 3 titles. Make use of that dot. 3 titles. Got a main title up top and the axis titles. 3 titles. Scale on the left axis, or sorry, the vertical axis, the y-axis, scale on the y-axis, going up by the same amount. Intervals on the x-axis are identical. Another thing, the bar size is identical. One day I'll learn to spell. Identical. And they touch each other. Not like a bar graph. Okay, where bar graphs would leave a space. So these are big things about histograms. There are three titles. There's the scale on the y-axis, and it goes up by the same amount. We have intervals on the x-axis that are identical. So if I had 0 and 10,000, then 10,000 all the way up to, I don't know, 50,000, it's not a proper histogram. That's actually a histogram error. All right. I ask questions on tests about this stuff here, so make sure you understand it. Okay. So this interval here, 0 to 2,000 or 24,999, represents all those people making that amount, and I find that ridiculously small. I can't imagine how anybody lives off that. The next video is going to show you how I go about making histograms, or how I'd like you to make histograms. So here's your introduction on what they are. We use them to represent data that is continuous, not discrete. Discrete is what we use for bar graphs, where there's exactly one number. In this case, we had to add up all of these categories, get all these numbers to get this. All right. So, and it's continuous. This represents the money. All right, the range of money. So there needs to be a range, and it flows going in. We're going to go through, actually, I'll go through a quick example using the jump book stuff, and we'll see if we can figure this out. So, different questions here, whether or not you would use a histogram or a bar graph for this stuff. For this data set here, histogram or bar graph for a data set. Actually, I can't do it, so Micro's not going to let me do it. So forget it. Video ends. Don't worry about this. The next video will show you how we actually make histograms, okay? This is why I wish I had a video editor.